All right, welcome back everybody. Today we are going to finish up those intake gaskets on the 69 Vet. I think like 2 videos ago, I found out there was the intake leaking coolant down into the crankcase. I did a compression check, eliminated the head gaskets, and figured out it's the intake. So I started taking the upper plenum off, but today we're going to get down to actually removing the lower intake, removing the distributor, resealing everything, and then going back together with it. So we're just going to get ahead started right now and go through that whole process. All right, now I'm going to pull the distributor out, and then I'm going to start peeling back this wire harness and just hang this out of the way. All right, so I disconnected the fuel lines, the return, and the pressure here, and then I disconnected the coolant line there, the other coolant line in the front. So everything is disconnected now. I'm leaving the fuel rail on here and the injectors and the ECM for now, and now I'm gonna just break free all the intake mounting bolts and then pull that out. All right, so I have all the intake manifold bolts out. I do have it loose, but what's happening is it's actually hitting the vet lip on the valve cover here. So I'm gonna just try to pop this side off first, and then hopefully that'll give me enough clearance to be able to pop this thing out of here. All right, now I got the intake off. There's several telltale signs in here that there's been leaking. So now it's time to clean all this up and start going back together with it. All right, so I got all my parts cleaned up here. So they're ready to get put back on. I did just get in my new intake manifold gaskets, new valve cover gaskets. The one thing I had to get this intake gasket paper for the upper plenum gaskets. They don't make these right now. Supposedly you can get them sometime the end of August, but I'm not really big on waiting, so I just ordered some of this gasket material. So I'm going to trace these out and make 4 of those. All right, so here's a quick look. I got the intake gaskets in place, and now I'm going to lay the intake manifold on and torque it down. All right, now if you have aluminum heads, make sure you're putting anti-seize back on your bolts. So I'm gonna run all these in, and then there's a torque sequence and torque specs. You start pretty much from the inside out, and it's a 2-step for this one. I looked it up specifically for the Ramjet 502. First pass is like 10 foot-pounds, and the second one's like 35, I think. All right, so I have the harness all hooked up. I just popped the distributor back in. Just a quick little tip. So if you set the #1 cylinder top dead center on the compression stroke, when you take your distributor out, it'll be pointing to the #1 cylinder. Obviously, you're gonna have to time it since you're taking it out, but it'll just be easy to take it out in this position and then put it right back in the same way, or just clock it or note it the way you took it out before you put it back in. And then obviously you'll have to time it once you get it running. So now I'm gonna just go ahead and pull this tape up and sit the upper plenum on. All right, so here are the gaskets that I cut out. They actually turned out pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit these on the plenum first. See how I have the bolts kind of holding these in here? And this will keep them from moving around when I'm trying to put it down, mainly because there's 4 of them. So this will keep them kind of stationary while I sit it down. Alrighty, just wrapped it up. All complete. Alright, so that's a wrap for today's video. So I'm glad that's done. I kind of put that behind me. It's totally like a snowball effect with everything that happened with a hole in the oil pan, making the skid plate, finding the coil in the crankcase, doing the intake manifold gaskets. But at least we addressed it before it got worse and we weren't putting an engine in this thing or having to send out to the machine shop. So if you enjoyed the video, press like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.